What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Formula One 2020 My Team Career. The opening scene we had there was the invitational event that I was invited to that I just passed by 1 meter. So, cutting it very fine there. Um, Going through our facilities, um, can't really do a great deal at the moment. I only have 1.53 million in the last episode. We did put in, I think it was the fitness center, I believe. Um, Going through the R&D, we've got a chassis upgrade happening. Also got a durability upgrade. We're going to focus on a rear wing upgrade because we only have one upgrade on there, so we need to get a little bit more downforce over the rear wheels. So we will go ahead and do that. Don't have enough to do a powertrain upgrade. So here's our upgrades that are on their way. We've actually dropped down in the upgrade race as well. We are now in between Williams and Haas. Last episode we were above both. So hopefully with these 3 upgrades that are coming, we will move back up above them. So we're going to go ahead and do some simulator training for Antoine and a chassis team building activity. So moving on to our tyre selection for the weekend. I'm thinking I'm going to go with a softer compound, just because this is I don't find tyre wear too bad around this track. So I think we could probably go with softer compound, have more pace, and yeah, hopefully that will help. Looking at the engine, we're still pretty good. We're at 58% with the ICE. That is probably our most worn component. We do have an upgrade on the way for durability on that, so hopefully our next component won't wear out as quick. So on to practice now, where I was relatively happy with the setup of the car and the pace I was putting down. I tried a couple of different setups around here. The first setup I used was terrible. It just felt really, really loose in the front end, like it was really, really soft suspension. And I didn't feel comfortable with it on this. I mean, this track's quite bumpy, so I didn't feel really comfortable with that. But the next one I used, I ended up tweaking it a little bit myself, and I did improve it. The times I was putting down on this were quicker with the setup after I tweaked it. So as I get a little bit loose coming out of the hairpin there, I think it's turn 7, I think, I'm 100% sure, turn 6. Yeah, I can't believe I mucked that up when I've got the turn numbers right there in front of me. Anyway, so around turn 9 now and turn 10. Very easy to get loose coming out of those corners if you are a little bit too throttle happy. But yeah, so the setup that I went with is definitely a lot better now. Tricky corner, this one. Bit of a weird sort of line. I always feel like you can go close to the curbs there, but the dynamic racing line says that running up high is the ideal spot to be. Very easy to lock up coming into this corner, as you just noticed. I locked up on entry, but very good for overtaking as well. But coming around the final corner now, use a little bit of curb, activate the DRS, come over the finish line, and be 3.8 seconds slower than my initial time somehow. But anyway, so we finished P4 for practice 1. Not a bad time. Quickest was a 1:39. So I mean, we're 6.5 tenths off Lewis Hamilton. So I mean, we're mixing it with the big boys, but it is only practice 1, so take from that what you will. moving on to practice 2 now. We were just having a look at our practice programs that we could do. We've already ran the qualifying sim program. I believe I ran that in the first session at one stage, but I decided I'd run it again with slightly different track conditions, hopefully a little bit more like the race conditions, hopefully. So running the practice program for qualifying and putting down a pretty good time. We're 1 second over the delta at the moment, so not doing too bad. 333.6 through the speed trap there, so we're second. So we've definitely got some pace. Hopefully we can carry that over in qualifying and into the race. As we come around the final corner now, and we put down a lap time of 137.6 with a purple third sector there. So we ended up finishing practice 2 with P3, only 2.5 tenths off Max Verstappen. So definitely quicker. But again, practice 2, so I mean, teams aren't going to be trying too hard. But onto our resource points now. We've got a nice little total, up to 1,065 now. Our team of claim, Antoine is just below level 6 as we move up to level 5 as a team. So I believe next episode we'll be able to select a new sponsor. So moving on to qualifying now, Q1. Don't think I was trying overly hard, but then again I probably was. I feel like I really had to push to try and keep up with some of the quicker guys in the field. But lap 1, we put down a decent banker time, I think. We had a purple sector in there somewhere. So yeah, coming around the hairpin now, turn 14, I think it is, 15 maybe. Yeah, so coming up to the final corner, down to 4th gear, run a little bit wide there, activate the DRS. Charles Leclerc has just put in the fastest lap, followed closely behind by us putting in the fastest lap of 1:35.7. We ended up getting pipped by Lewis Hamilton by 200ths of a second. And our teammates didn't even make it out of Q1. So not an ideal start for the weekend for Johnson Racing Team, for one side of the garage anyway. But moving on to Q2 now. Our first lap, we put down a purple first sector. Not sure where we are running at the moment, whether we're the first ones out or not, but I'll take a purple sector. And we get a little bit loose. You take a little bit too much curb there, I think, and just lose the rear end a little bit as Lewis Hamilton puts in the fastest lap. So we binned that lap. So we're just picking up from where we left off. We were down in the first sector, but now we should well and truly be up as I run wide again. Just a little bit too deep into the brakes there. As Jeff's giving us a quick rundown on the positions. So he's we've got Grosjean, Verstappen and Ocon just ahead of us as we come around the final corner. The fastest lap is 1:36.6. And we come across with a 1:37, I believe that was. So we're about a second off the pace. Our third lap here is a lot better. We're up on our delta at the moment. We're 1/10 up. So hopefully that will improve. As Jeff warns us, about 2 minutes to go, so we really need a good lap. And we put in a purple sector 1. So that is a pretty good start to Q2 here for our final lap. We're this sweeping left-hander. I really feel with this setup that when the tyres are fresh, I'd probably hold it flat around that sweeping left-hander there. And we put in a second sector purple. So we're looking pretty good for provisional pole in Q2 here. So let's just see how we end. We're nearly 3 seconds up on our time. So I'll put on a fresh set of rubber, obviously. I think a couple of spins in the first session, or the first stint of Q2, I did sort of wear them down a little bit. So I opted to put on a fresh set, and we come around the final turn here, use a little bit of curb, DRS activated, and we cross the line with a 135.3. So that is P1 for us in Q2. We are definitely on the pace. We are 3/10 clear of Valtteri Bottas. As Lance Stroll, Esteban Ocon, Sainz, and I missed who else, but regulars missed it. So on to Q3 now. We're going to go out and do our banker lap. I'm going to be using the worn rubber from Q2. As Lando Norris, I think it was, just went out in front of us. So we've done our warm-up lap now. We've got a car in front of us. Can't quite tell who that is from here, but I think it was Daniel Ricciardo. He was quite slow through here. I think he may have just come out of the pits, so he kind of slowed us down in this opening portion of our lap, which was a little unfortunate because it sort of put me under the pump later on, I think. So we get stuck behind him a little bit. He's alright in a straight line, but around these corners it was just a little bit slower than I was. So as we almost bin it, we save it nicely, and now loop it on the grass. Good job, Ben. Good job. On to the next lap. We went back to the pits, fixed our wing, and we get stuck behind Ricciardo again. He moves out of the way this time. We get around him. A little bit quicker through there this time. So we've got, I think it's Lando Norris up ahead of us. Yes, it's Lando Norris. We get around him on the outside. Kind of throws off the line from this next left-hander, but we get around that okay. We negotiate that little dilemma. Come nicely out of that corner. Down to third gear. Easy on the throttle around here because you can spin it quite easily. Lose the rear very easily. Full throttle by the time we get to the exit. As we come around the final corner and we put down a time that is good for P9. So we've got a minute to go, so we just kept going. Putting down a secondary lap time, see if we can improve on it. A bit quicker through there again, so we've got no traffic to negotiate, so that's the reason I'm cutting to the sections where we negotiated traffic. A little bit quicker through those sections. Losing time in the straight line though, I don't know if that's the tyres wearing down or if I've got an issue with the downforce, but Jeff has mentioned the ICE is worn. I mean, we're at 58% before practice, so as we come across the line and put down the third fastest time, so we'll be starting the second row of the grid. First time we've made it to Q3.
And with qualifying complete, let's review our top three today. Hamilton, Bottas, and
yeah,
Johnson.
we are starting quite high up, mixing it with the big boys. I've been doing that all weekend. Rivalry breakdown, we get 2 ticks to Kevin Magnussen's 1, so we take the lead again with our rivalry. Onto our team acclaim. I'm about halfway through level 3. Antoine finally goes up to level 6. And we're about a third of the way through level 5 for the team. So here's Jeff congratulating us. Successful qualifying, we should be in with a good chance for the race. Well, we will see, Jeff. We will see. So it's time for the race now.
We're here in Shanghai. Shanghai International Circuit then, a 16-corner high-speed thrill ride. The long and ever-tightening right-hander at turns 1 and 2 tests a driver's patience, and the flat, open to the elements location, tests their skill in a crosswind. 2 DRS zones will assist passing, and overtaking is available into turn 1, and of course down the kilometre-long back straight into the hairpin at turn 14. With the race, minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Johnson, Vettel, Alexander Albon, and Leclerc, Ricciardo, Perez, Norris, and Lance Stroll, Ocon, Sainz, Pierre Gasly, and Kvyat. Verstappen, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Grosjean, Kimi Raikkonen, and Antonio Giovinazzi. Russell, Hubert, Latifi, and Kevin Magnussen fills the last spot on the grid.
So moving on to our setup for the race, we're going to go with the two-stop. From softs to mediums back onto softs, adding in 30 laps of fuel, so we've got a little bit extra to push, and 5 red lights, and away we go for the Chinese Grand Prix. Bottas bogs down a little bit, gets a little bit of an iffy start. Vettel flies down our inside. I'm getting pushed down the track here. I've managed to negotiate them by kind of forcing them off the track, but that's okay. We've got Leclerc on our inside now. And we've now also got Ricciardo coming up our outside, and Leclerc was on our outside, sort of inside, outside, it was a bit of both. But anyway, Ricciardo gets around us, so we're going to slot in behind him, and we're going to make a dive down into the hairpin. Had to get a little bit harder on the brakes, not to avoid contact with Leclerc, but we get cleanly around Ricciardo there, our fellow Aussie, and we are monitoring some wear on the ICE, so that's awesome. If I didn't qualify so high at the grid, I may have taken a penalty, but yeah, so I slot in behind Leclerc and Perez here, and come around this corner, and all of a sudden my rear end just went on me. I have no idea what happened. I don't know if it was just dirty air or what it was, because I look at the tyres and they were fine. As we look at a replay here of the moment, and I don't seem to be sliding. I mean, maybe a little bit there. I'm starting to slide. I just checked the tyres up in the corner there, and they seem fine. I think they're only at like 40%. Maybe I was starting a little bit of a slide there. I don't know, but it just seems like the rear tyres just suddenly let go on me and caught me unawares. Not that I'm very good at catching the looseness at the moment, but we lost all our positioning. So we're back down to last of the runners. We've caught up to Magnussen again, who's 21st. Getting to his DRS, I believe. So right on his gearbox now. He's getting held up by our teammate a little bit. Maybe a team strategy there. Maybe Antoine did get the team order to hold up Magnussen, so I could gain the position. I definitely didn't give that order, but good work to Jeff. So anyway, we get a little bit loose coming out of the corner there. We're right up behind Magnussen here. We've got DRS, but he also has DRS, so it's really a drag race at the moment. I am on the soft compound tyre. We duck down the inside. We have to get harder on the brakes to avoid contact again, and then we have to take a corner cut, I believe, to avoid collision with Magnussen, because he didn't really give us any room. So we're going to be pitting at the end of this lap as we go past Vettel on his way out. We're getting more warnings about the engine, so it's kind of seeming like at this stage we're going to be lucky to make it through the race with the amount of warnings we're getting already. We're only on lap 5, and he's told us twice that we're having engine components wearing. So hopefully he's just being a little bit over the top as we come into the pits now. So we're coming in for our first stop on lap 6. Going to come in on the mediums. So we've got Ricciardo, Norris ahead of us, who have just left the pits by the looks of it. So I mean, that losing that track position early just did not help. We could have been pitting with the front runners of this race, but we're still last. But we're 8 seconds behind Verstappen, and we are gaining on him quite rapidly. He is on the hard compound tyre though, so he may be doing a one stop. So we'll just press on and we will see how we go. Hopefully we have no more issues with losing the rear end. Hopefully we have no contact, as has happened in every race so far, I believe, because we're fighting with the rookies essentially. So Pierre, Albon is coming out of pits now, and we just get in front of him as he exits. So that was a very well timed pit stop on our end. We got the undercut on somebody, so we got in front of Albon, and he's already 1.9 seconds behind us. 2 seconds now. He's falling behind very rapidly. So coming around the final corner of the 8th lap now, and we've just put in the fastest lap of the race. I was about to say our best lap. Well, it is. It's also the best lap of the race overall. So that's pretty good news. As I lose the rear again coming out of a corner, and it's not too much power. I know it's not too much power because I was not throttling all that much. But we're now going to have a track race with Albon here down the back DRS straight. Who is going to get DRS though? It is Albon, not me. So I've got to tuck in behind him here and duck up the inside and get that position back. But he turns down on me a little bit, doesn't give me any room, and he makes contact, and I've lost the end plate off my wing. So it'll be back to the pits for me. A little bit earlier than anticipated, but here we go, onto the hards. When they're done with my wing, and we're off. Except I mucked up the start a little bit. That's okay. So that was our final stop, in theory at least. Hopefully, I don't believe I stopped again. Pretty sure I finished on these hard tyres now. So pressing on, lap 13 now, we're 30 seconds behind everybody. Latifi, Magnussen and our teammate are in the pits at the moment. We come across the line and the timesheet is lying to us because they're actually 20 seconds up the road. But it soon comes down and we're about 9 seconds adrift of Latifi. So within, I think it was within 1 or 2 laps, we drastically reduced that margin to 1.4 seconds and closing rapidly. So I don't know if Latifi's having engine issues or if he's just slow. We're going to go if he's just slow. Or I'm super quick. I like being super quick. That sounds a lot better. We have put in the fastest lap of the race, so that says that we're the fastest. So we're within DRS range now. We put on our DRS, we throw it into rich mode, and we put the overtake on. Just try and close that gap a little bit more and hopefully try and get him maybe down into the hairpin coming up. He's really slow through here. I should have just ducked up the inside there, I think. He left the space, but I opted not to. I'm opting for a safer option with Latifi, as I did have an issue with him in Bahrain. I believe I actually had issues with him at Vietnam too. So yeah, me and Latifi are not the best of pals right now. We are definitely racing with our elbows out. Him more than me, because I'm the one that comes off worse for wear every single time. So we're going to try and get him under the DRS down here. We get a good exit out of there. We're right behind him in his slipstream. We get the DRS. Rich mode engaged, overtake engaged, and we just fly by. And we're able to basically get back on the racing line straight away. So we got past Latifi quite quickly, quite easily actually. And then, yeah, we're going to press on, but nope, we're going to lose it, and we're also going to lose our wheel. So once again, Nicholas Latifi has done serious damage. I don't know, I took a little bit too much curb, hit the dirty stuff, lost the rear. I believe I just didn't have enough rear downforce, to be honest, because that was happening a lot, even under regular racing conditions where I wasn't taking dirty lines. But that is the end of our race, so we finished last. Lewis Hamilton wins the race again. Should have predicted that. He's won every race so far. Bottas was right behind him, and Max Verstappen coming across the line in third. So, maximum points for Mercedes this weekend. Although I did steal the fastest lap. I don't know if anybody stole it back from me later in the race. But, so our top 10 were Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen, Albon, Vettel, Leclerc, Sainz, Stroll, Ocon, and Kvyat finishing in 10th place. Driver standings, Lewis Hamilton is way out in front by 45 points. Mercedes are leading the constructors by 71, followed by Ferrari, Red Bull, Renault, McLaren, Racing Point, Alfa Romeo, and Alfa Tauri, and then Johnson Racing and Williams. I think Haas was below us too. Here's Claire. A good day. I'm not sure what race you were watching, but it was definitely not my day.
It looks like your rival bested you today, doesn't it?
Yes, he definitely did, as I did not finish the race. So, unless he didn't finish before me.
It was more like dodgems than Formula 1 today, wasn't it?
That was just friendly nudges. Thank you, Claire.
Appreciate your time.
So, that is where I'm going to leave this video today, as we have a look at our rivalry breakdown. K-Mag gets 3 ticks, takes the lead in our rivalry. Onto our team at Claim. We've almost gone up to level 4, and we're almost, we're about 2/3 of the way through level 5 as a team. 123,000 in cash. We did 78 laps, so we completed our objective. Lost 40k for damage, which, I mean, considering I lost a wheel, 40k isn't too bad. So 2.52 total in cash. So we'll utilise that in the start of the next episode. But that's where I'm going to leave this episode, guys. So leave a like, subscribe if you enjoyed. And until the next video, I've been Jono. This is the Average Gamer Network, and you've been watching Formula 1 2020 My Team Career.